Hi, I'm Carly.
And I'm Sandra, and this is
Send Noodles!
Lockdown Edition!
We're getting so good at that. We're going to have that nailed by the time lockdown's done.
Yeah, and then we're never, hopefully, going to need that skill ever again.
Once again, I miss you.
No, fingers crossed that we can see each other soon. It's really not looking very promising for us in our area, but that's okay. We have definitely come to adjust to this, haven't we?
We have, and we're predominantly grateful for all the things that we can do and that we're safe and well, and just please everyone, just hang in there.
Yeah.
Just hang in there and make smart decisions, please.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so how have you been this week? You've been good?
Yes, I've been good. It's been a long week, but we are at the end of this week, and oh my goodness, I know I keep saying this, but I feel like this winter kind of dragged on, and now I'm so grateful for the sunshine, and it is so beautiful out there.
But then I caught sight of that sunset, and I don't know, something stirred inside me, and I had to stop and weep.
We went for a little walk this morning, and I am so blessed in the LGA I live in that there is quite a lot of lovely little spots that you can kind of do very quick little purchases from, and I got myself the most delicious dairy-free mango smoothie this morning on my walk adventure. It's been a really nice morning, and now I'm ready to eat some noodles to fill my cup, so very keen for it. What about you?
Similar vibe, not quite so many establishments in my LGA, although I think I'm blessed in a different way in that in the area that I live, there's still some little pockets of bushland, so you can actually go on a walk where you feel a little bit kind of like you're off the grid for a moment.
Yeah.
I have found the perfect walking stick.
You would not part an old man from his walking stick.
I don't think I've told you this. A few weeks ago, I just found this stick while I was walking, and I was like, this is amazing. And at first I was just thinking, Gandalf. It's very quickly become just a wonderful thing to have. I enjoy having it on my walk. It's something to do because I'm like, and it's a perfectly straight, perfectly gorgeous. I just love it. I haven't added any decoration to it yet, but I am considering that.
You just read my mind. I was literally about to ask you if you were going to decorate it.
Thinking about it, like
yes.
I might spray paint a bit on it and add some. It's just a quality stick.
Yes.
The right height, the edge is nice, no splinters. Look, I might have to post something about the stick to our Insta.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so
I think you should decorate it.
There's a lot you could do, really.
Yes.
Pretty excited about it. So yeah, on our walk yesterday, I had seen them. Luke's not a fan of Maxibon, okay? And so sometimes when we're walking, it's a bit warm, we stop and get a little icy cold.
Yes.
You know, and I just really love that. It's just, such is our exciting life in lockdown. But they have released a Rick and Morty, like a pickle flavored Maxibon. So on today's walk, if the weather stays lovely like this, which I'm sure it will, our plan is to go and get the pickle flavored Maxibon.
Can you do a bit of a review of that?
We love pickles.
Me too, but ice cream?
I hope it's actually like, I haven't read into it too much, but I hope it's genuinely pickled flavour and not just like, oh, I'm green, I'm pickly. Like, don't say you're pickle if you're not.
I think it could be yummy, like how you eat a soft serve with like savoury things. Yeah, like your chips and the pickle and okay, actually I'm here for it. Give it a go, see how it is.
Thanks.
Now, last week we had an incredibly disappointing noodle. Probably the most disappointing noodle we've had yet. And the week before that,
disappointing noodle I've ever eaten.
Yeah, look, it was not great. And the week before that, we had probably our highest rated noodle. It's been a roller coaster, basically. So we thought we might bring it back to basics this week.
Go for a classic.
Yes, something that actually we neither of us have really consumed in quite a while. I personally bought this packet, click and collect again, bought the 5-pack of it, and realised I really couldn't tell you the last time I just had this particular flavour of noodle. So I'm really looking forward to it, actually. What about you?
Me too. I actually, just as you were speaking then, I thought to myself, I don't know if I've ever actually had this version. I've definitely had the other version, but I don't know if I've had this. It's an OG, it's a classic for a reason. This brand is recommended over and over again, and we are going to do, which we know you already know because we know that they've read the title, Luke, but we like to do a little reveal.
The big reveal! What is it?
Okay, it's in your...
So it's finally time for us to do the classic mee goreng. I am so excited for us to be doing this today. It is the staple. Look, I kind of never really ate 2-minute noodles much kind of growing up in my household. It was kind of more so the mee goreng was a staple in our household. So I'm thinking this is going to throw me back to my childhood. But I must say, I really, because we've been on this noodle journey, have not been eating it. I don't think I've had it since we have started this noodle journey. So I'm really, really excited for it.
I'm also feeling really happy about going back to like something that I'm fairly certain I can rely on that I'm going to enjoy, because the disappointment was so real last week that I think it's really important that we have a moment. Now, shall we go ahead and do the preparation?
Yes, but I think before we do the preparation, there's a story to tell. So just for some context, actually, I'm going to give you a little bit of context here that one of my really good friends sent a message to say that they had a little confession that they'd never actually tried this particular brand before. And they were really excited. I actually got a bit of a live kind of reaction from them. And as they were sending this, I realized that they obviously didn't have the context about this, and neither do you guys. This is not our first time filming a particular Indomie noodle. Right. Okay? It is our first time having the mee goreng, but it's not our first time having an Indomie noodle. We did try and film an episode. It was actually, I think, it was our first lockdown episode. It absolutely was. And look, we were trying to get used to the functionality of this, and we maybe didn't succeed.
In my defense, we have been doing a lot of Zoom meetings that week for work, and everything was new and exciting. And when things are new and exciting, you fidget like me. You might play around with things like filters. And so during meetings with my staff that week, I had been playing around with the filters. Oh, you can do this. You can do lots of stuff on Zoom. At one point, I had turned on some fairly assertive eyebrows. Today, we're going with a big hitter. We're going to branch out into the world of
Indomie.
And I forgot to turn them off. The best part about all of this, the best/worst part, is neither of us noticed until about 40 minutes of filming. And I'm like, what's going on? I feel like we might have done the hot and spicy ones.
We did 2 separate flavors as well. Maybe we'll come back to it. I actually very much enjoyed it. Spoiler alert. I had a chicken curry noodle, which I had never tried. So it was a very, very honest blind reaction for me. I'd never had that noodle before. We were just way too into the noodle to kind of realize what had happened. And now we're going to give this another go, and hopefully...
Yeah, it got to the point where I'm like, why are my eyebrows still there?
But it was fine. We just decided we probably couldn't show you guys that one. So
about 3 minutes in, I get a message from our beautiful editor and the love of my life, who said, "Dude, what is this? What the hell?"
And that was one of our first mishaps in lockdown edition. So yes, now let's go.
But
we'll try this again. Let's go and cook this noodle.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon. I'm excited. I could smell it. So when we came back, I kind of just sat down and just almost went to kind of just go straight for it before we started. That's how kind of familiar the smell was straight away. I was so ready to go for it.
It is really hard to not just shove it in my mouth. I've done exactly the same thing. The smell is amazing. It's not going to win any beauty contests, but also it just looks wholesome.
Yeah. I've got to say,
excited.
It's really ugly looking. Like, it's not the most beautiful of noodles. And I really do have to say, I think I am kind of coming to this realization that maybe I do overcook my noodle a little bit, because it does really clump together in a dry noodle. But gosh, I'm here for it. Look at it go. It's all stuck together. I'm so excited. We're just beautiful.
Okay, ready?
Yes, let's do it. Let's go.
Okay, I have a confession to make. This whole time, I've been thinking that these were never going to be as good as the hot and spicy, but they are, I'm not going to say better, but they're just as good. Because I always go, oh, hot and spicy version of everything is better. These are amazing. Mm-hmm. There is not any grittiness inside, first of all. They're prepared in the same way as last week's, and it doesn't feel like a sandwich at the beach.
So is this confirmation that you haven't actually had this flavour, the OG?
I don't think I've had this. If you don't love onion, probably don't try this. It's definitely got a strong onion. It had some dried shallot in there as well.
Add onion, yep.
Which is one of my favourite add-ins, obviously. But also in your mouth, Sandra.
No, I'm making such a mess. I'm going to scoff this down. Please go on, keep going.
So you can eat. I know you, girl. There is a lovely oiliness there. It's a little bit oily on my lips, but not in a gross way, just in a well-coated, like comforting noodle way. It's got a bit of a vibe, almost like a butter noodle. The flavors are really complex. There was a lot of sachets to put in there, and you know that I'm just such a sachet lover.
Yeah.
This was a 5 sachet scenario, which I think is really amazing. That shows that they care about a complexity of flavor. There is a chili sauce, a sweet soy, and a garlic. If that's not the holy trinity of noodle flavors, I don't know what is. Then over here, the seasoning and the fried onion, very excited. Very excited. Now tell me what you think while I eat.
Okay, so I have a bit of a confession, and that is, as I said, this is very much something I used to kind of eat as a kid. As we've kind of discussed earlier in previous episodes, something that I'm really apprehensive about in a noodle is the oil.
My God, you're greasy.
I know that it can kind of make me feel a bit yucky sometimes, and this is actually one of the noodles that typically I actually don't put the seasoning oil in it, but for the sake of this kind of, and making sure that it was a very honest review, I put absolutely everything in. There's hopefully a little bit of B-roll of me literally just squeezing everything in all at once, which is absolutely not how I normally would do it. I would actually typically just leave the oil out, but I made sure that I did it this time. What I have to say on that is I don't know why I used to not do that because this is so delicious. I need you to kind of see how much I've eaten. I'm like 2 mouthfuls away from being finished. It is so good. Better than I remember. I just love it. I actually had never really noticed. I've got another packet. I told you I bought a 5-pack. I hadn't noticed until we previously attempted to do an episode that these actually say stir-fry noodles on them, and they are very specifically a dried noodle. That is something I've learned on this noodle journey. I am very much a soupy, brothy kind of noodle gal. We've really much established this. So I always used to kind of keep a little bit of the broth. And in fact, I did it for the same reason as Carly mentioned, because last week she had the grittiest noodles in the world. So I did keep a little bit just in case, but you're right, there's just something very well done about this noodle, that it just cooks down just beautifully. And I had almost thought that I'd left my noodle too long, like it felt a little too cold for it to even kind of dissolve everything right, but it didn't matter. The seasoning did just blend so beautifully in. It just cooked in straight away with all of the oils and the soy sauce, and it just is just a magical, delightful time in my mouth. I've got to say, for us, that chili is not particularly hot, but it's a really, really lovely mouthfeel for you. Like, it's really warm in my mouth, but it's certainly not spicy. Now, I've never had the hot and spicy. How does it compare? Is it kind of, does the hot and spicy just have a better edge to it? Is it more in your nose? Like, this is just very much in my mouth and kind of nowhere else with that spice.
It's interesting because you would have seen in a really classy fashion, I was like, I wonder what these taste like. So I tried individually. That's a sambal chili sauce, and it actually is quite a spicy little sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So they've added exactly the right amount that it's not an overpowering spice, but it is evident. I don't think the hot and spicy was necessarily many grades hotter.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit hotter, but it certainly wasn't a jump away in terms of heat. I think it was probably a bit saltier, and I'm interested to know what it has in terms of the little sachets, like how different they are.
I just need you to know I'm done. I'm finished.
Yeah, I was just being polite. I'm definitely finished.
Is there much difference in the sachets?
It has a chili powder in the hot and spicy. It just has a chili powder rather than a chili sauce.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that the powder has a little more kick.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm finished.
We had so many conversation points, but again, we've accidentally done this thing where we've finished the noodle this time. This is the opposite problem from last week. I devoured that. I honestly could eat many of those. I think that this comes as no surprise though for many people who, obviously everyone's kind of been raving about these from the start, really recommended them, and I think that probably the next step for us is probably doing add-ons with something like this, because it's definitely a beautiful base noodle, but the reality of it is that noodle on its own is just delicious. You can't fault that as kind of your go-to lunch snack. It's not too hot, it's just delicious. The flavors are delightful and it's not overpowering. I guess you're right, there probably is quite a strong onion feel to it, but it's just great.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I'm not offended in any way. Not offended. I absolutely adore this. Hard because I've just eaten it, so I've got like the noodle glow. But would you say that this is better than the shin?
Or the gin? The shin or the gin?
Sorry, not the shin, the gin.
I do love the shin. I'm gonna always go back to that as well, because that was that
shin was the one you really loved, and the gin was the one that I really loved.
Yeah, look, I love the shin, but I think that this is probably a yummier baseline noodle for people, because the shin is quite spicy, whereas this is a bit more of a basic noodle. The gin was very yummy, but this is better in my opinion.
I think in terms of availability, you also can't fault the fact that we get them just at your supermarket. You can go and multi-pack purchase them obviously at your Asian grocer, but you can also just grab them at the supermarket, and they're often on sale for, you know, like $1.90 a pack.
Yeah.
So in terms of affordability, I feel like if we're talking about last week and like, oh, that's 50 cents worth of noodles, I definitely feel like I got more than 90 cents worth of noodles for this.
Yeah.
And you know, those 5 packs are sometimes only like $4 or so.
Yeah.
Not uncommon to see them on sale. They come in a whole range of flavors as well. I did the satay one.
Yes.
That's what happened on Eyebrow Gate, is I did the satay flavour, which was delicious.
Yeah.
So they come in a whole range of flavours.
Yep.
Between us now, we've tried like 5 different ones.
Yep.
Maths.
2 + 2 is 4. -1, that's 3. Quick maths.
Everyone has been stunning.
Yeah, there's a reason that they're a big brand in the noodle empire. They're a very strong noodle, and it's just delicious kind of in all regards, I think.
Thank you to everyone who recommended them. Like, we've had so many people recommend them, and it wasn't that we didn't believe you, it's just that we knew that we had to get there eventually. And they are one, as you said, we've had them in the cupboard for a little while, kind of thinking, oh, is it the week we'll do that?
Yeah. And we did have big dreams. We did actually kind of want to do a thing where we were going to sample all of the flavours at once and do a bit of a noodle bar. But of course, lockdown's kind of impacted that, and maybe it's still something we can do at some stage where we can compare them. But, you know, it was time. It absolutely was time. And I'm feeling really, really, really happy about the fact that we've done them today. It just felt like the right decision.
I might make a bold suggestion for a lockdown party initiative. An Indomie tasting party via Zoom with your friends would be so good. And you can just get whatever flavour you packets, because you're definitely going to want to num on those. Also, if you don't already follow the Indomie Facebook page, they have just some hilarious recipes. The Indomie lasagna.
Outrageous, but also something we are so here for. So I guess, look, we devoured them way too fast to even chat, which is very funny. We're getting way too quick at these. I guess let's talk about it then. Let's rate it. I think it's very clear that we really very much enjoyed these. But let's give them a rating. How do you feel about the mouthfeel? So the noodle itself, Carly, what did you think of that?
I would rate this quite highly this week because there was that lovely oil that wasn't gross by any means. You don't think of that as being a lovely element, but it was. The small amounts of onion, the fried shallot in there was really, really delightful. Just enough spice to let you know you're alive, but not so much that you're uncomfortable in any way. Your look on your face when you're looking at that empty bowl is just heartbreaking. Like, if you lick it, we're not going there.
I know. Well, I just put my hand in because you mentioned fried onions, and I was like, I want to taste them some more.
They were really delightful. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 for mouthfeel.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice.
I can't fault it. Like, it was amazing. What about you?
Okay, so this is where I kind of have to think to myself about the other noodles that I've rated really, really highly, because the reality of this is that this is probably my favourite noodle that we've eaten, and that is definitely a reality of this. It was good. I think for me, with the fried shallot scenario, my one big regret is I just put that in with everything else. I think if I were to remake this now, I would just put them in last, which is normally what I would do. But because I was cutting open all the sachets and just dropping them all in one-handed, I dropped them all in at once, just because then I would have had that crunch, because I just started trying to eat them again. And obviously they lose their consistency just a little bit when they had kind of soaked in the rest of the sauce. Still delicious though. We just mentioned Shin, and they were my favorite noodles so far because they were that chewy, kind of weird noodle. I really liked that.
Noodle dishes?
Pardon?
The rice noodle?
No, they were the potato. We had a potato one with them, but they also just had the, I don't know that it was rice. I have to confirm, but it was a thicker noodle.
It was delicious. Like a Hokkien vibe.
Yeah, like I really, really like that noodle. I think about that noodle often. But I like this for your kind of lunch meal. I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. I don't think it's like as strong as the thicker noodle in my opinion. I think that they're my favourite in terms of noodle.
What do you think, Dean?
Dean likes it.
Oh, but there's some chilli in there. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, no, he's gone back for more. Yeah, Dean's a fan. He's a huge fan.
How was that? All right.
Okay, so the flavour.
Oh, yes. I think I'm going to give it a 4. It was solid. It was Moorish. Like, I was definitely really enjoying it. It wasn't too overpowering one way or the other. Whereas last week was a bit confusing, and I keep using that as a point of reference, but just because it was so damn trash. There was a lot of flavors happening, but none of them felt like anything I could recognize. I could pick up the garlic, the onion, as I've said, the chili, the sweet sauce. They were all happening there, and I could pick up those like notes of flavor, but none were overpowering, and so I really enjoyed that. So it's a solid 4 for flavor, only because we know that probably I would need a bit more spice to give it a 5.
And that, I guess, is why some of our previous flavors probably overtake that for you. Yeah,
absolutely.
That makes sense. Now for me though, this is the strong point for me. I think as much as I do love a spicy noodle, and I really, we're making reference to some spicy noodles that we've previously had. I really love a noodle that's not necessarily spicy, but is just there as a comfort food. And I think that that is what this noodle does so incredibly well, because as I said, I do have really fond memories associated with it, and it is just a comfort food. You don't have to amp yourself up to be eating this. They're not particularly spicy, they're just yummy. And for that reason, I'm actually going to give it a 5.
Yes. Okay, so we've done mouthfeel, we've done flavor, which includes spice. Now overall, I mean, are you a 5 out of 5 this week?
I think so. I think that as controversial as that may feel, this to me is probably, this is the holy grail noodle in my opinion. I kind of already knew that as we were kind of going into this. I've certainly been introduced to some noodles that I have really loved and adored along the way, but honestly I always knew this was going to be my favorite. It's been like maybe a year since I've had one of these, and you know, the second I started eating it, if you go back and watch that footage, I am like scoffing it into my mouth. I am devouring it. So, you know, just it kind of solidified it to me that yeah, this is my 5 out of 5 noodle. Okay. What about you, Carly?
I think I'm going to give it a solid 4.5. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was, and this is coming, I guess what the interesting thing is, as we said, I haven't had them before. I've had Indomie, but certainly not this. It was a new flavor experience for me, and I just absolutely adored it. So yes, 4.5. Grab them, have them in your cupboard, and it is like a little hug for your brain and your tummy at the same time.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing I could wish is it was just slightly bigger, because I don't think I've got the stomach room for 2 whole packets, but certainly I could go for 1.5.
The other night I was saying to you off camera that I had used the hot and spicy ones the other night to make like a bit of a lazy dinner for Luke and I did cook 3 packets.
Yes.
And I threw maybe, I think it was probably like 5 or 6 goiza each in the sandwich press, and we were stuffed. So certainly if you're making dinner for 2 or a snack for 2, 3 packets is the perfect amount.
That was probably the most controversial way to kind of cook a lot of those elements. The sandwich press.
Oh yeah, no, I cook them in the sandwich press with a little bit of sesame oil, and that way they're just really crispy, and I don't have to get out a pan or anything. I just wipe the press down when I'm done.
Interesting.
So many things in the sandwich press. I do my vegetables in the sandwich press sometimes.
Interesting.
Breakfast, like you do your hash browns in the sandwich press, right? So they're nice and crispy. They crisp up so much quicker.
That's actually quite ingenious, I think.
A little bit of salt on them. Then, while they're crisping over here, I throw some sliced mushroom and some baby spinach on the other side. Could add a little bit of veggie stock if you want, if it's a bit dry. Don't use oil, just use veggie stock, just a few tablespoons. So good.
I can't wait to try this. I'm going to have to give it a go.
Oh,
that sounds delightful on some noodles as well. So again, maybe that's our next avenue. Maybe that's something that we need to go down the path of now. We've been kind of thinking this for a while, that maybe we need to kind of elevate this now. You know, we've tried a lot of our kind of common noodles, and, you know, is that
a few odd ones?
Yeah. Where do we go, I guess?
We'd love to hear your suggestions for what
let us know in the comments what you think.
What you would like us to send next, because the noodles, we could keep going for a while, but I think we've had some pretty exciting noodle times, and I think we've got a couple more left in us. Speaking of which, segue. Would you you like to tell our listeners about this?
Yes. Okay, so I'm really, really excited. We definitely will do a bigger post about this as well. But basically, we are going to be doing this particular noodle next week for our episode. Now, this particular noodle may look familiar to you. We did do the 1 time spicy, I think it was, just the normal version of it, which was in a black packet. We're going to do the 2 times spicy. Now, if you think back to that episode, it is the episode where my brain essentially shut down in the middle of the episode. Poor editor Luke, he had to deal with that. It's going to happen again, probably to a higher degree. And we want to try something new, and that is that we want you to try this one with us. So we're giving you the heads up that next week, that is the noodle that we're going to be trying. Our episode will be up at 7 o'clock next Sunday, as per usual, and you guys will have to give this noodle a go with us. So watch along with us and then leave comments.
Along with us?
Yes, eat along with us. And then let us know how you go, because we have had some viewers already try this, and we do know Harrison was one of those viewers. He did tell us that it was so spicy. We personally haven't tried it, so I think it's time. I'm going to make sure I've personally got some ice cream, lactose free, in the freezer ready to go, because I think I'm going to need that. Yes, come prepared, armed with milk, please.
Wait, so excited for it.
Yes.
Well, I think that might be all for us. Everyone, please keep safe during lockdown. Keep baking, keep crafting, keep tending to your garden.
Yes.
Looking after your pets.
Yeah, doing the things that make you happy.
Yes, that's really important.
And get some of that nice sunshine. I know that I'm very bad at leaving my house some days, and I've kind of made that a bit of a goal for myself to make sure I leave the house, because that sunshine really helps, I think. Yes.
Absolutely. So nice.
So please, everyone, thank you for watching. Chuck a comment below with your thoughts for A, what's next for us, and B, if you're going to go out and try those noodles with us. I think that you can get them click and collect from some grocery stores.
Oh, yeah, really good point. You can get them at your Asian grocer, but also I'm pretty sure that I just got mine at Woolworths. Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Like and subscribe.
Yay!
You could say.
Thank you.